maybe a bit 1 minute late. Okay, and what is the company you work for, Ryan?
So at the moment, I'm working for a company called Coty.
Oh, Coty, not okay. Coty, yes, COTY.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we'll have you speak about that to us. Okay, that'd be great.
I have to say though, this is my last week at Coty. I'm actually joining another company next week, just as part of one of the accounts. So
it's a promotion.
It's just because there's nothing else to do here at the moment. Like all activities just gone now. So yeah, I'm going to another account as of next week.
Okay, and Coty is cosmetics, right? What is it?
That's right. Yeah, cosmetics like makeup and like hair care, all sorts really.
Okay, and as of next week, it will be what company you said?
So it's a company called Novartis.
Okay.
So they're more like a pharmaceutical company. So they look at like cures for diseases and like cancers and things like that.
Okay, all right, I see. And what is your job with these companies? What do you do?
So I work in recruitment. So before I started at Coty, I was doing more of like a sales position in recruitment, but I didn't particularly enjoy that aspect of it. So I decided I wanted to just stick with the candidate side, which is where I was quite strong. Okay. And then luckily enough, they gave me the opportunity to do so.
Good for you. Okay, excellent. So I can see. Do you see at the bottom of the screen all the little faces here? So these are the people with us. I don't know if you can see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe one more person. Okay. Can you all say hello in turn so we make sure everybody has the mic turned on? Can you just say hello, my name is, please? Thank you. So Marine, you want to start with your mic? Marine, your mic is...
Yeah. Hello, I'm Marine. I'm 20 years old and I'm from France.
Where are you?
It's in the French Riviera, in the southeast of France.
You're now on the Riviera at the moment?
No, not today. I'm in Pau, but I live in Nice.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, thank you. Next, somebody wants to introduce themselves?
My name is Melanie. I'm 20 and I come from to the south of France.
Pau. Yeah, thank you. Number 3.
My name is Carla. I am 20 years old and I living in Toulouse.
Toulouse. And you are in Toulouse at the moment?
Yes.
Good. Carla. Number 4.
Hello, I'm Lauriane. I come from Guadeloupe Island.
Good. And where are you now, Lauriane?
Pau.
You're in Pau. Okay, thank you. Number 5.
Hello, I am Jeanne. I come from Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire, and I live in Pau.
Good. Thank you, Jeanne. 6.
Hello. Désolée. Hello, my name is Dorian. I come from Iceland, Martinique.
And where are you now?
Pau, in Pau.
You're in Pau.
Yes.
Thank you. Number 7.
Hello. Hello, my name is Tessa, and I'm from Guadeloupe.
And where are you at the moment, Tessa?
My camera have a problem. I don't know what's the problem, but...
Okay, but where are you now? You are not in Guadeloupe Islands. Where are you?
No, I am in Pau.
You're in Pau. Thank you. Number 8. 5, 8.
Hello, my name is Ludivine. I'm from Sawa. I'm in Pau too.
Okay, Ludivine, thank you. Number 9.
Hello, my name is Awa. I come from Ivory Coast. I'm Pau.
You're in Pau. Thank you.
Yes.
Number 10.
Hello, my name is Edwina. I come from Guadeloupe and I live in Pau.
Thank you. Number 11.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Curtis. I'm from Guadeloupe too, and I'm in Pau right now.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, number 12.
Hello, my name is Stacy, and I come from Guadeloupe, and I'm actually in Pau.
Thank you very much. Okay, so everybody, we have a special guest, Ryan. I believe he's in Manchester at the moment. If not, he'll correct me. So you may ask him, thank you. You may ask him questions from the list. Be curious as far as what he does, how he does it, and why he does it, whatever. So if you are ready to start, Ryan, unless you want to say something as an intro, we can start as you want.
Yeah, sure. I suppose I'll give some background into how I come into this. So I'm Ryan. I'm 26. So I actually studied modern languages at Salford University. So this was starting in 2012. I did a year abroad, so that consisted of 6 months in Spain, practicing my Spanish at university there, and 6 months in Pau on the the group ESC Pau languages program. So I was teaching English to other students of varying ages. So that was my first proper work experience, and it was a really nice one as well. Did lots of stuff whilst I was in Pau as well. So I need to come back soon. After that, finished off my degree at Salford. Did a master's at Manchester University in translation and interpreting studies. And whilst I was doing that, I was just working in retail, so different supermarkets and different experiences there. After that, I wanted to do something a bit more substantial, so I went into recruitment. That's where my uncle was working at the time, so he was quite high in that position as well. So he was able to help me get into a different team. And that was good. That was more of like the sales type of recruitment. However, after a year and a half, I decided that sales really wasn't for me, but did enjoy the candidate aspect. So speaking with people about jobs and saying why they would be good fits and whatnot. So after that, I joined Coty, or well, actually officially the company is Corn Ferry, so it's more like a consulting firm, and they have different accounts. So I was put into an account called Coty. I don't know how many of you know Coty, but just to give you an idea as to who they are, they own different businesses in the cosmetics, beauty, and makeup industry. So they have all sorts of different brands like Clairol, Max Factor, Rimmel, Adidas, Burberry, just to name a few, really. So it's more about the companies that they own that you would know rather than Coty itself. Unfortunately, this is my final week at Coty. I'm actually going to be joining another account as the activity has dropped slightly in terms of the number of jobs hired. So I was looking at filling 50 jobs, but now it's only 5. And because the team is too big, we decided, right, we need to move people around different teams. So as of next week, I'm actually going to be joining a pharmaceutical company called Novartis. And they specialise in curing rare diseases and other cancers and other bits and pieces like that. So very much a different industry to what Coty are doing. But I'm looking forward to that challenge. And feel free to ask away anything you'd like to know.
Good, thank you. Okay, so most of you, did you understand Ryan when he spoke, or so?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so feel free to ask interesting questions. So whoever, somebody wants to start?
Yes. I'm Melanie. I have one question for you. So, what do you like doing in your spare time?
Good question. Okay, so obviously right now it's a bit unfortunate. So I do like going outside and being quite active. I quite like the game Pokemon Go.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm quite active on that, to be fair. We have a group of people on WhatsApp, so we have a WhatsApp group chat. So quite a few of us, actually, about 80 or 90 different people. So we like to meet up sometimes, battle, and then just have a drink afterwards. And it's quite social in that respect. Other than that, I quite like football, most sports really. Manchester United fan here, so just to confirm. And other than that, music too. I like going into concerts. So rock, heavy metal. That's my type of music. But I do like other bits like hip hop and punk music too. I'm trying to think, and other than that, yeah, spending time with family. That's always important to me.
And thank you. Does your job keep you very busy? Do you have the usual 9 to 5 business hours? How much do you work, and how much free time do you have?
Yeah, so officially the working hours are between 9 till 5:30, but they're quite flexible in terms of when you can start and when you can finish. Just as long as you do the work, really, that's the main thing. And compared to my last job, this is a lot more relaxing in terms of atmosphere and what I have to do. But everything's going well so far.
Yeah, great, good. Another question, guys?
Yes, me. Okay. In which environment do you work best? At home, at work, or?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. There are benefits to, I believe there are benefits to both. In terms of working from home exclusively now, that's something I've had to get used to. I was able, before all the crisis and having to work from home, I was able to work from home 2 days per week. So that was quite good. I do find I am more productive at home, especially if I have lots of different activities I need to do, then I can just focus on them, whilst also being able to stretch my legs, go for a walk, and release myself from the screen. However, in terms of working in the office, I do miss that interaction with my colleagues. It's nice just to have like 5 or 10 minute chats with them just to see how everything's going, and that does break the day up as well in that respect. So they both have the benefits. What I would say personally for me, I work better at home, but everyone is different in that respect.
Yeah. And do you have to go on the spot with companies, or do you always work from your desk, or you have to go places for your job?
Oh, so yeah, so this is completely remote, so on site. So not on site, it's in an office in Manchester. Okay. We did have so for Coty, we actually visited the office in London, and that was really cool. They gave us a good tour of the place there, and they gave us a free bag of cosmetics and things like that. I mean, not necessarily for me, but my mum was loving it, and my other friends as well. They were loving that too. I did get a nice aftershave outfit, so that was a win for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's otherwise it's all based at home or in the office.
Okay, computer. Okay, thank you. Okay, another question?
Yes, me, Lorian. Are you ability to work under pressure?
Working under pressure, how is that for you?
Sorry, go on.
Yes, Lorian, you want to say something else?
No.
Okay, no problem. Working on so that's good as well. It's always very important just to remain calm, just focus. So I like what I like to do personally when I'm under pressure is type everything that I need to do out or write everything down on a list, just so you can see it in front of your face. If you think about things too much, then you might think of one thing and then forget something else. So it's always good to write the information down that you need, to write the goals that you're going to set for the day. And then do the easiest ones first, just to get yourself in a good mood and a positive, give yourself a good positive attitude to complete the more difficult tasks afterwards. And I always take regular breaks as well. So every 30 to 45 minutes, I like to take maybe 5 or 10 minutes just to stretch my legs, get some fresh air, and then go back into it once my head's cleared.
Yeah, and is pressure part of your job? Typically, is it very stressful? You have deadlines, you have challenges, or it's just eventually you have a little bit of stress, or it's common, typical of the job?
Oh yeah, so we have targets. They were completely different to so this in my current role is a lot more relaxed in that respect. Although there are still targets that we need to meet in terms of satisfying the candidates, satisfying the company, the hiring managers. So we do have to keep maintain high standards at all times in that respect. But I suppose if you're willing to learn, if you have the right attitude, then pressure doesn't really wouldn't be a big problem.
Okay, all right, thank you. Good. Another question?
Me.
Yeah.
Awa.
Awa. Okay, go ahead.
What kinds of decisions do you find difficult to make in your company?
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of the time I mainly deal with candidates. In terms of having to make decisions, it would probably be during the conversation I would have with the candidates. So say, for example, I wanted to speak to someone about a certain role, like I work in like marketing roles, for example. So say, for example, I was speaking to a marketing director who I thought could be a good match, but I also had some concerns. Then I would ask about these different concerns during the conversation. And then if I was unsure, that's when I would have to still make the decision. And that's when it would be most difficult to make whether to say yes or no. Most of the time, I would say if it is a 50-50 decision, I would lean towards the positive end, whilst also trying to find other candidates who might be more suitable. So in terms of when there would be the most difficult decisions I would have to make, I would say whether a candidate would be good enough or not for this particular position.
Good. And you have plenty of applicants for the positions, or sometimes you have nobody for the job, or it ever happens that no?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's very random. So for marketing positions, I have over 100 applications the majority of the time. However, when I've also been working on finance positions as well, and they're not as common in terms of certainly applications, and then finding good applications there. So it's it varies from market to market.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Good. All right. Another question?
Yes, Edwina.
Edwina,
Hi.
okay.
So what was the most challenging aspect of your degree course?
The most challenging aspect of your what?
Degrees courses.
Courses. Okay. Okay. Your education, your diploma. Okay. Good.
Yeah, definitely. So I suppose finding someone to practice with. So for my French and Spanish exams, it was split out into, as you can imagine, it was split out into separate courses. So you had the speaking course, the writing, translation, reading. So I suppose it was just finding someone to practice with outside of the university that I found difficult. In the end, I did find a lot of online resources that would help me. In terms of my education, like when it was most difficult or most challenging, the masters. Definitely for me, the masters, it was the most challenging. Having to do a lot of research. It was all coursework based rather than any exams. So I had to really do my research, like spend hours on the internet and in the library finding materials, and it's worth the efforts anyway, definitely. But it was certainly the most challenging part of my education, the master's course.
It's behind you. That's good. Good.
Definitely, yeah.
And how much of your language skills do you use at work now? Do you have to speak Spanish or French with anybody, or no?
Well, unfortunately, because most of the roles I was working on were based in Amsterdam, there was no possibility. Everyone uses English there as the main business language. So whilst I would like to use my language skills a bit more, it isn't essential at the moment. I did before joining Coty, I did use it in my other sales job for some bits, just to reach out to people on LinkedIn and by email. But other than that, we did have to revert back into English because that was one of the main requirements for the international roles that I was working on in that position.
Yeah. All right. And what about your free time? Do you have contact with friends in Pau or other places, Spain and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. So one of my good friends he has been hosting like a Zoom quiz every Saturday. So he's bilingual as well. So he lived in France for about 5 years or so for most of his secondary education. So so I'm able to practice with him on these quizzes, and then in general, if the time calls for it. He's a teacher now, actually. He teaches French and Spanish at the school.
Cool. All right. Great. Thank you. Another question? I think most of your mics are turned off. So if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. So make sure your mics are turned on if you want to talk. Curtis, I think you're the only guy in the group. Do you have a question? No? Ah. Somebody's trying to speak?
No.
No. No questions?
No.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Somebody said yes. Who is that?
Hi, I am Carla.
Carla.
What motivates you in terms of work?
What motivates you? Okay.
Yeah, so I suppose that I have two answers to that. It really depending on the role. So for my sales role, it was more about it was very financial based, and so a lot of your salary is based on commission. So it's not just your base salary, but the effort that you put in is worth it. So that's where you generate the money. So for the sales position, that would be the main motivation to work in that area. For my current role, I suppose just being able to place good candidates and nice people into nice jobs. I always find that the most enjoyable aspect of my work, having that interaction, and even more so now in these times where we can't go into the office and talk. It's nice even just to talk on video or by phone, just mainly not only to keep you sane, but also just to feel satisfied that you've not only done a good job, but you've also helped somebody else to be happy in their job as well, or in their new job. So yeah, I would say candidate interaction. That would be my main enjoyable aspects there.
Cool. And do you have any objectives, like you project yourself 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road? Do you have a professional objective in mind? Where would you like to be to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So when I joined, we have these regular meetings with my colleagues and my boss and my line manager, and then the one above, the project manager. So the project manager was asking me where would I like to be in the next year or two. So I said, well, ideally I'd like to work into more of a senior position. So right now I'm just dealing mainly with candidates and finding candidates online and on the job boards. But the next step up for me would be to do that, and then also to deal with the hiring managers, and so go from being an associate recruiter, which is my official job title, to being a fully fledged recruiter. So that would involve more client management and extra responsibility, basically. But hopefully in the next year, that's where I'll be.
Good. And so there are opportunities for advancement in the company where you are now. You can project yourself in the same company.
Definitely, yeah. Yes, definitely, yeah. Albeit on potentially different accounts as well. So that's the benefit of being with a consultancy. It's a similar consultancy to the likes of like Deloitte and KPMG and PwC, like some of those familiar names as well. So it's a very similar setting in that respect, albeit in different markets and different roles there.
Okay, great. Thank you. Great. Okay, anybody else with a question? We have 5 minutes left, more or less.
Hi, Curtis. I would like to ask you, what's your biggest achievement in your job, or in your professional life?
So far, yes.
Yeah, good question. I suppose so. Moving back to my previous role in the sales job, making my first placement on my own, that was the biggest achievement for me. Because I was initially doing the same role there of just looking for candidates for my team, but I was able to generate a role and lead from my own work, and then I was dedicated enough to fill that position, like work on it constantly, and then I did get that position filled in the end, with a bigger fee than I thought I would ever achieve there. So then that motivated me to go on to the fully fledged sales side. So not just doing the candidate stuff, but also talking to clients, generating different positions that way. And I suppose I wouldn't say that was probably one of my key achievements there. I wouldn't say right now it's just developing myself. So every little achievement I have is building up to something bigger for the future. So that's what I'm seeing it as more like a big staircase where I'm just climbing steps one at a time. And then I bet you do reach that point where at the top where you know that you've made it. That could be in a big senior position, like you could say you could be a director or a senior director in somewhere, and you would think, okay, that's where I've made it now. But I suppose not knowing, like you will know that when you achieve it. So you have that you will have that feeling inside of you, like a gut feeling, when you know you've achieved your main goal.
Great, thanks. What about, could you give us some tips? Because we just talked about, we did CVs and letters and job interviews. And from your professional point of view, could you give us some do's and don'ts during the interview or the recruiting process? I mean, young students, like they are 20, they are going to finish in 1 year and go for the job interviews. So what would you recommend them to do or not to do? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Well, at the moment with interview processes as well, it's very much different now. So face-to-face meetings aren't the norm at the moment. They are video interviews and phone calls as well. Yeah. So what I would suggest for video calls, you would still dress yourself in a smart manner. So any suit or any smart business wear, that's what you would wear still. You would still treat it as like a face-to-face meeting. Don't worry about if the internet disconnects. That can always happen regardless. So you just need to keep calm there and make sure the internet is switched back on, and then always have an alternative mode of communication if the internet is still failing. So make sure you have the phone number of the hiring manager to give them a call after any technical issues with the internet. In terms of CVs, definitely the simpler it is, the better. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to stick to 1 page or 2 pages for your CV. You could have as many, like maybe even 3 or 4, like as much if you wanted to provide as much information as you possibly could. But just make sure that it's very neat and uniform. One thing I noticed actually, in particular, just out of interest, was with the CV. So in the UK, it isn't that common at all to put photos on your CV. You wouldn't do that. Whereas in France and in other countries in Europe, it is very much common. Yeah. So so if you are applying for a job in the UK, if you wanted to move to London or Manchester, then you wouldn't necessarily need to put a photo on, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about the face-to-face, about the qualities? You have to be reactive, or you have to have the answers to all the questions, or you have to be honest? I mean, like what are you looking for? Like,
honesty is the best policy here. Okay. You definitely, yeah. The worst thing you could do is lie. Definitely don't lie. That's always important. Always having a positive attitude. I think employers most of the time are looking more about personality and more about your personal skills rather than focusing mainly on your technical skills. So, for example, someone with less experience might beat someone with more experience just because they could fit the company culture better, and they would have better interactions with the manager and the team in general. So I'd say a key emphasis on that is personality, and that is more important, arguably, than the experience that you would gain potentially.
Great, thank you. Okay, anybody has a last question for Ryan? Yeah, go ahead.
That's not a professional question, but I want to know which team you take in Pokemon Go.
Oh, Pokemon Go. Okay.
Good question. That is Instinct, the yellow team.
The most challenging.
It is. So where I live at the moment, we actually have a lot of yellow players here. So it's actually good for me. I can take the gyms out and add some stuff in, and we take over them for a very long time.
Okay.
And you, Curtis, do you play Pokemon Go? You do that?
Years ago.
But not anymore?
Not anymore, no.
Okay. And how old are you? May I ask your age, Curtis? How old are you?
21 years old. Yeah,
you're a bit young. I mean, Pokemon is like 25, 26, like my, maybe that's all right. And girls, anybody Pokemon in the girls? No?
No.
No.
It's not for everyone, to be fair.
It's not good for girls. Okay, all right. Well, thank you everybody for coming, for playing the game. Thank you very much, Ryan. Okay,
Thank you.
for.
Thank
I
you.
can see that. Yeah, thank you. I can see the sun is shining on your face, so you're in a good spot, right, at the moment? Good weather.
Yes, surprisingly so here in Manchester. It's never like this normally. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
thank you for having me. It's been really nice meeting you all. Good luck with everything else. Obviously, stay safe too. And
Yes.
yeah, all the best.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
And
Bye.
you,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Okay. And my students, thank you for being here. You're okay. And that's it for the end of the semester. Take care. And bye-bye.
Take care of
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.